Yes, we are here again with some beautiful information for you to take down. I don't know if you have your pad and your pen, but we are going to give you some good things today. It's Community All Unite TV again here. You thought we were only going to be here for a couple shows, but we're going to be here for a long time because we got sponsors calling, and we've been calling all of them too. Community All Unite TV, Comcast Cable, and Xfinity on channel 190 and 1097 every Thursday from 8 to 8:30. I don't need to say that again. I hope not today because I say it so many times. I know y'all are tired of hearing it. Community All Unite TV. I'm going to say it one more time. Yes, 8 to 8:30 every Thursday from 8 to 8:30 and 1097 and 190. All right. So we got that out the way. All of the other things we got to do today is find out about Aziza Kibibi. Yes, Aziza Kibibi's here with us, and we've been friends for a long time. She's done some things with Wisdom Shapes Minds in the past. She's gone to the Covenant House and talked to those young people, and I loved that one. That was a great workshop because she was giving them meditation techniques. She took them to a walk in the beautiful, I say, magical land of meditation. And I don't think any of them really knew about that, how they can calm themselves, center themselves, and bring themselves back to the realities that they have in a higher evolved state. That was a beautiful time, and the kids really enjoyed that. Now, Aziza.
Yes, Chris.
You know how long we've known each other. And all the things that we have, all the events that you've been a part of and how you have supported Wisdom Shapes Minds in the past. I want to thank you first and foremost.
Oh, you're welcome.
You know, and I know you are skyrocketing with your.
I'm skyrocketing.
You're skyrocketing, okay. And I'm trying to latch on to the rocket. So with that, I want you to tell them a little bit about yourself because I know I could say you're an author. I know I could say you're an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I know I could say that you're an activist. I know I could say that you're a chef.
Got it.
I got all of them in there.
Yes, you got most of them in there. There's a lot more.
You're a dancer.
Yes.
Yes. You are a media personality.
A mama.
Okay, a mama. Yes. Go ahead. Continue.
And a survivor. I am a long-time survivor of a lot of life crap. So, you know, I'm sure we'll get into that a little later. But I've written a book called Unashamed, A Life Tainted. And it chronicles my life surviving abuse at the hands of my father, Aswad Ayinde. He directed the Killing Me Softly music video for the Fugees. Amongst other things, he's worked with Queen Latifah. He's worked with Fab Five Freddy. So I grew up in the space of music and media. At the same time, I was homeschooled. I have a lot of siblings. I'm actually the eldest of 21 children so far that we've counted that my father has had. And being homeschooled and kind of being isolated from society, my father taught his children how to be self-sufficient as far as like learning how to cook, learning how to farm. We had a house in East Orange where we grew all of our own food. So all of those things were cultivated in me, and I was responsible for maintaining the nutritional health in the family because he did not believe in Western medicine. So he delivered. I'm going to jump ahead. I've had 4 children for him. He molested and abused me. I've had 4 children for him. He delivered all of my children. He delivered most of my siblings. So just being involved, living in like this modern world in a way that is so, a lot of people would say like maybe uncivilized or not, the opposite of modern. I think that instilled this kind of survivor, self-sufficient thing in me. So being required to maintain the nutritional health of my younger siblings and being left home with them a lot from a very young age, I discovered cooking, and I had to make everything from scratch. I mean, I baked the bread, I made the coconut milk and the soy milk and the granola, and my father loved Junior's cheesecakes, and I had to figure out a way how to make a cheesecake that was comparable to Junior's cheesecake. So I did. Cooking was also therapy for me. So I am a self-taught chef, and I also catered all of the music video. My mom was a producer, and his children did everything from all of the special effects and editing to, booking airlines and hotels for the talent. So I did the catering. I cooked for the business meetings. I cooked for the set. I cooked for shoot day, and it got crazy, but it's a good thing that I loved it. It's exhausting. Like, cooking takes a lot of energy, but I put a lot of love into it, and I eventually started my own catering company called Sincerely Z.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh.
Amidst everything else.
Sure. Now, I sometimes I get messages when I'm listening to an interviewer, and I get these questions that are in my mind, and I don't know if they're appropriate questions. I don't know if they're in that situation where a father, abuses their daughter and has children with their daughter. And of course we all think of that as a despicable act. We think of that as an act that is so inappropriate that a person should go to jail. And of course, your father went to jail. Now, if you were to look back on that experience, since you are a transparent person, what, besides the fact that he taught you how to cook and made sure that you learned about health and nutrition, what good attributes would you have found in him?
The fact that he thought outside of the box. He was nonconformist to the extreme. He also believed that the world was going to come to an end. And when my first daughter was born with no health defects, he decided that, he was meant to create a new race. So he kind of had this idea. Well, he had a God complex, one, but he had this just perspective, like he could do anything he set his mind to, he could do. He built furniture for most of my childhood, and then one day he decided he just wanted to shoot movies and make music videos, and he did. So I think that that limitless kind of perspective, that's definitely, I take that, I try to foster that in my own children. And I have that. I can pretty much do anything that I set my mind to, because my perspective is that, God put us here, and we are, as humans, very powerful. And we just need to learn and, grow and surpass whatever limitations that we perceive that we have. And we could do that. So I have, yes, cooking is my love, but I also write. I could tinker with a car engine, like anything that I put my mind to, I can figure out how to do it. And I try to foster the same ideas and perspectives in my children. So that's one thing. And then, of course, being exposed. Though my education was limited, my father only taught me up until age 11. So I think I had like maybe what would be considered a third grade education. But at the same time, he was really into technology. So I was exposed to the internet before it was, readily available to anybody. In the 80s, we had a Mac before Mac became thing. And, he taught us in the computers. My brother was considered a child prodigy because he was editing music videos and doing special effects in music videos at 14 years old. And those things, just having that, again, this kind of perspective that you could really do anything you put your mind to, is definitely something that I took away. So, and I don't believe that anything is all good and anything is all bad. And I know a lot of survivors, they struggle with the idea, and I think even abused women, they struggle with the idea that this person that they loved, or maybe even continue to love, can be so evil. But as humans, we are yin and yang.
Yeah.
You know, there is always a dichotomy, and it's just about making the right choices.
Right.
So
Yeah, I talk to young people about one of my main principles is that fear is really not a necessary emotion. If it could be used if you're going to be hurting yourself or hurt somebody else, but otherwise it's just a limiting, restricting emotion. And what is that called? What is the fear? What is it? I forgot what the acronym of fear is, but I know there's an acronym: fear of something. I can't remember that. But with that said, perspective. You know, your perspective becomes your reality. And me being an architect, that's what I have to do every day. Design something from scratch, from an idea, and make it into a reality. And of course, the things that I'm doing right now with this talk show and everything is just making these ideas that we've had, and that I'm not fearing doing it.
right.
Doing it, and I haven't been a background. I haven't had any education on communications. The only thing I know about communications and marketing is what I have to do with my nonprofit, trying to get word out about things that we're doing and how you network and talk to people, and that's something with architecture too. It's all about who you know and how you talk to people and get them to understand that you can create what their dream is.
Right.
So with you, every time I see you do something that's like phenomenal, and it's like probably an idea that came in your head and you just decided to go ahead and formulate it. I see your mind working in that fashion. The meditation in itself, is closing your eyes and seeing this journey through whatever it could be, a forest or a quiet place, or just putting your body into that space and making it real as possible in your mind. And then before you know it, you are able to say, oh, how can I achieve that space? I want that. I want to be in that space.
Right.
And then I, of course, say that the universe can achieve anything for you if you do the. I don't want to take over the interview and be myself, but it's VSSB. I said that. Visualize it, say it, see it, then be it. And all of those in between things that you got to do in between those spaces include love. So I eliminated fear in my heart, and I filled it with love. And now I'm here doing whatever I feel feels good, and I want other people to feel good. So I'm not doing something that I'm thinking that it could make me feel good, but it's going to make everybody else feel bad. I want to make everybody feel good. So I only show that side of me. I might be a bad boy behind closed doors, but as far as right now and where I want to perceive myself, give the perception I want to give for myself in front of the camera, in front of the people, and in front of my friends, is that I love them already. So that's with that, of course, I love you. I'll give you that energy. That's the same energy I give with the kids, and that's why I connect with kids, and because I love them before I walk in the door.
Yeah.
So with that said, I have a couple questions, and I don't know what. In your book, do you talk about the relationship with your mother and what she felt when these things were happening in your life with your father?
Well, not specifically in the book. It does chronicle. So Unashamed Life Tainted, volumes 1 and 2 really focuses on the birth of my children.
Yes.
When my father did start molesting me, actually, volume 2 focuses more on the trauma that I experienced from his abuse. But the entire, I guess you can call it a series because it's 2 volumes, but the book that's in print. Okay, 2 volumes was digital,
yes.
And then I combined them as one text, a 2-volume text in the print version, and it's essentially a culmination of my journey, having my children, surviving the trauma from my father, and how that impacted me as developing as a person, as a woman. So, yeah, part of it, the way the journey goes, it's me speaking in the present at the time, which was like 2012, 2013. And it does explore my relationship with my mother at that time. And then you can see as we go back to when I was a child, how our relationship was strained while growing up. And then, but it's not really the focus. The focus is more on how I internalized the trauma that I experienced, how I was able to get beyond it in order to raise my children. One of my children dying, how I dealt with that, and then eventually being in court testifying against my father until, he was sentenced.
Right.
So just everything, just all of that, how it impacted me and how it helped develop and mold me into the person that I am now.
All right. So now that we've covered that, how did you overcome? How did you forgive? How did you release that baggage?
There's still some baggage there. The healing process is extensive, and I'm sure like a lot of people may think that they are healed from a lot of things. Then you find out later on that, there's something else that trauma has affected emotionally, physically, whatever. But, my process, my focus was my children, right? I knew that I had to play a role in their lives because they had went through what I had been through, and the fact that they took the journey with me. My oldest daughter, she witnessed my father beating me with a belt. And then in the process of escaping him, they was taken away by the system and was in foster care for 3 years. So then I had to work to get them back. And then us being so close in age, my eldest daughter, I had her when I was 16, and not being in the school system, but then she was in the public school system, then I grew up with her in that respect. Like I lived vicariously through her to a certain degree through her middle school and high school journey, which was exciting for me because I never went to school. And I think just maintaining that focus and again, building confidence in myself in the fact that I knew that I could do anything, and getting over what I had been through was one of the things that I could do. And then of course my connection to the universe, my trust and faith in God. And I know a lot of people who are, I don't want to say anti-religious. I believe that atheists are probably the biggest believers in God. To deny something, you have to acknowledge it being there in the first place. So I feel like God gives us choices. Yes, is in control, but are in control by through the options that the Creator has provided to us. And then we have agency to make choices.
Right.
So essentially, I make choices. I choose to take the responsibility away from my father of my healing, right? So I feel like that's what forgiveness is, to then say, you know what, I'm going to leave you to atone with what you have done that has hurt me, and then I'm going to be over here healing. And I've got nothing to do with you anymore. You have nothing to do with me anymore. And I feel like that is really necessary in the healing process. So there's that. And then just my interest. I think my excitement for life and learning and growing, all of those things just drive me. They just drive me. And I love to learn new things and have new experiences.
Right.
Some can say that is because I did grow up isolated, you know? So now, like, I am connected with my inner child. And I think that's how I was able to connect with the youth. Because I remember when I happened to it. So
True.
That's why, and I enjoy working with young people. And then I could see all of the things that I didn't get to experience because I was busy trying to figure out how to stop daddy from raping me.
Yeah.
You know, so then seeing like the fun they have and the friends and that kind of stuff excites me and it keeps me going.
2 questions. I'm going to do the fun question first. If you were to have a movie, which you probably will have a movie of your life, who would play you?
Oh, that is a fun question. I like that question.
Viola Davis?
Viola Davis? I don't think so. I think because the part of my so I was a young adult. I escaped my dad when I was 24, right? So I don't think the Viola Davis would work there for that age. And I think the heart of my story, if you was to say, well, if I optioned the book, right? The heart of my story is between the ages from a child to 35 when I finally went to college. Because while I was in court testifying against my father, I was also in school. I went to school for the first time at 35. So I had midterms. I had midterms while I was going to court, saying, yeah, this is exactly what he did to me. So that's where the period is. So between the ages of, I guess you can say 8 and 35, I would say I love Janelle Monáe. I love Janelle Monáe.
Cynthia.
Who?
Who's this? What's her name? Cynthia. That was playing. She's about to play Aretha Franklin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's her name? The one that she's a singer as well as she played. She played the Harriet Tubman movie.
Okay. Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
My daughter had an idea of somebody, but it's slipping me now, and I'm like, well, what was it? Because when she said it, I was like, ooh, she would be perfect. But I'm a huge fan of Janelle Monáe. I think she's very passionate, though she's like a developing actress, being that she's in music. But I think her open-mindedness and her perspective would probably lend to the role that is Aziza Kabibi.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The other question I had is more intense.
Okay.
Now, if I was, nobody can say that if I was going through that experience, what you would do. But just thinking it quickly, I'd be like, did you think about killing him?
Oh, yes.
And what stopped you?
We were foiled, actually, and it's funny. I was recently on Evil Lives Here on Investigation Discovery, and they did do a dramatization of when my brother and I, his soul rest in peace, he passed away a couple of years ago. But when we were young, I believe I was maybe like 10 or 11, and he's almost 2 years younger than me. We planned to murder our father. I was going to, my parents had went out for the day, left us home, and we concocted this whole plan where when they came inside, my father usually was always the first one to come walk through the door. I was going to hit him with a hammer and beat him down until there was no more life into him. We'd have to do something with mommy, so we had to knock her out. And then we, as the kids, was just going to grab everything and run out the door. But while we were planning, my brother and I had this habit of walking around in circles in the living room while we made all of our plans. And my young sister, who was the biggest tattletale amidst stuff, heard us. And I had hid the hammer under the pillow of the couch. We had packed food and clothes and hid them behind the couch. I had all the kids dressed. And just as my parents were struggling with the lock on the door and banging on the door for us to open it, my sister comes out and says, I'm telling, I know what y'all planning to do. So we had to abandon it.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, I was assigned to cook for my father. And yes, plenty of times, at least 2 good times, I did actually try to poison his food. Am I incriminating myself?
No, it didn't work.
But I tossed it because then I realized that I didn't know enough about the poison. So I didn't know if it was going to be effective. And being I was the only one cooking his food, if he got sick, then I would be the blame. So that was the other thing. Other than that, the other attempts, as a child or the times that I thought about it, it was always like coming to the realization, like, Aziza, you're 10, you're 11, you're 12 years old. How are you going to take care of all of your siblings. And at different times I had a baby, you know, a newborn baby that was my youngest.
Right.
So I just abandoned the idea of either doing something to him or running away a couple of times.
Right. So the poison thing popped in my mind. Yeah, they say to put the rat poison in their drink or whatever and let them, you know, I'll put a lot of it in there. I was like, but as far as the time frame, I know it must have been like it was 100 years to experience that, because it was for how many? Almost 12 years that this
More
is
than 12.
more than 12.
I mean, my father started molesting me when I was 8, and I didn't escape him till I was 24. Oh, wait. What's that, 16 years?
Mm-hmm.
17 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was my life, you know, and yes, it went through, it just dragged on every day, and the stress piled on, and it affected my body. I had untreated asthma, so I spent a lot of time, I mean, I can't say a lot because I was able to do other things, but I spent good periods of time just in the bed, not being able to walk or move because I wasn't getting enough air of my lungs to do so. And my father said that it was because of my negative energy. So he was still, even when I was sick and can barely move, he was still molesting me or raping me. And it just kept going. And yeah, by the time I would say at like 14 or 15, I abandoned trying to escape. Wondered, well, maybe what he's saying is true. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do in life. This is my responsibility. And you go through accepting it. Then there's the gaslighting, and you feel crazy, and not having anyone else. And then having my mother there enabling everything. It wasn't like it was just this one person in the family, right? There was another adult that was rubber stamping everything. There was another adult that wasn't fighting back. So I think just...
So that was a culture, because she believed in what he was saying.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It was
And so did you learn not to make him mad? You learned how to keep him
yeah.
happy.
Yes.
So what the abuse part was probably just in the early stages, right? Or
No, because he got off on beating women up. So he did. It would sexually arouse him. So I can't necessarily say that, there was moments of abuse and eventually it stopped. Well, physical abuse. It was always sexual abuse.
in contact with you now.
So everything is Aziza Kibibi.
Yes.
AZIZAKIBIBI.
Right.
That is my Instagram. You can find me on Facebook that way. My website is azizakibibi.com.
Yes.
My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Aziza Kibibi. And my podcast is self-publishedpodcast.com. But you can just find it on Apple if you search Aziza Kibibi on Apple Podcasts.
Right.
Then
And
you
that's
can find it
Instagram
there.
too, right? Aziza Kibibi.
Yes, that's
Okay.
my Instagram too.
Right. All right. Community All Unite TV every Thursday from 8 to 8:30 on channel 190 and 1097. We've done it again, and if you don't believe it, you better check yourself, because this was a beautiful, powerful interview, and I asked all the questions that I'm sure you want to know. And thank you again, Aziza, because this was so informative to me. I was sitting there so intently listening to you that I think I have a permanent frown on my face, because I was just like, whoa. And thinking about my next question was like, oh, and you just ran right through the questions, but no, you didn't even flinch. And those were kind of deep questions. So thanks again. Xfinity and Comcast Cable. We're going to be here every Thursday, 8 to 8:30. Please check out what we have to offer. It's informative, and you will be inspired, because we want you. You everybody's involved in this type of thing. This is a community TV show. So you call us, and I'm sure we're going to put the number down so you can call us. If you have a story to give and something that's really inspiring for the community, or even if it's something that's not, if something that's reveals something that somebody else might really benefit from, just give us a call and we would love to interview you. Thank you again, Chris Sanders, over and out. Free
gift giveaways is what you're going to see when you tune in to Community All Unite TV. And that rhymes. It rhymes, I tell you. We're going to be doing it every Thursday, 8 to 8:30 on 1097 and 190. That's channels there. I'm talking about channels. And Comcast Cable and Xfinity.